the Hand has Danny Rand, so it's up to Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones to go in, rescue him, and save New York before the Hand wins it all. That's it. It's the finale, the final 2 episodes of our huge Marvel Netflix team-up super event of awesomeness, The Defenders. Hey everyone, D here, and I am so excited to jump right back in. 2 episodes left to wrap all of this up. It's going to be the big climax. We've got to be heading to MIdland Circle. We're going to have to jump in and find out first of all our heroes were unconscious at the end of the last episode. So we're going to have to go and check out. Hopefully they're back because they're going to be running out of time. Got to get to Danny. All right, let's jump right in, all right? Here we go. Episode 7. Okay, episode 7, Fish in the Jailhouse. Kind of a funny opening bit there. We've got everybody all knocked out from the fight with Elektra. And where do they wake up? In the jail. We've got Matt on the couch. We got Luke being looked over by everyone, by Colleen and Claire, and we have Jessica handcuffed in an interrogation room. I mean, first of all, it's kind of convenient to all be moved to the police station. They changed Matt's clothes for him, and then just sort of laid him all out. Not hospital, nothing interesting like that. They brought, especially handcuffing Jessica into the interrogation room. I just thought that was kind of a hilarious, opening up, kind of getting your feel of where everything is after that big fight. But what I really liked about this opening bit is it reminds us again of how much the stakes are for our heroes. Again, this isn't Iron Man, this isn't Captain America, this isn't the Hulk, this isn't bigger than life people with all of these connections and organizations behind them. These are just 4 regular people, and if they break the law, they're going to be in trouble for it. We have that whole discussion about, that the vigilantes don't have jurisdiction here. The NYPD does. So it's a good, strong reminder of what the actual stakes are for the group. But the real, the real big impactful scene, definitely in this episode, but even in most of the series, was the scene between Matt and Karen when they go off to kind of do that little sidebar and Karen pulls him away and she's like, "Oh my God, you were just starting to put your life together." And Matt says, "This is my life." This to me was the big moment of Matt really accepting who he was. He had sort of made that statement to Stick before, "Don't try and tell me who I am. I know who I am." And I don't think at that point he really did. I don't think he fully embraced it. But to me at this point, this was him kind of embracing that hero, embracing who it is that he is. And I think that's a constant theme throughout this episode, as everybody kind of accepting who they really are. And even Foggy seems to recognize this when he brings Matt his suit, which I thought was super cool. Now he sort of tells Karen later on that he did this in a way to hopefully that this would be the one last hurrah and go out. I'm not really sure how much Foggy even believes that himself. So we have kind of Foggy accepting who he is as well. We also have Jessica willing to go in and Claire making the statement that Luke seems to have finally found his place. So yeah, this really is the episode where all of the heroes accept who it is they are, which they have to do in order to make the big stand, to do the big escape and bust out. They really thought that if Luke didn't want to be there, that he would stay there. And then, of course, that leads us to the whole on the run and the cool scene on the subway, which, of course, we saw all in the previews with Jessica stealing the beer from the homeless guy. Yeah, it has been a long week. But I actually love the moment just before that, when they know they can't stay on the streets, and they actually consider, it's like, should we take a cab? There's that pause where they actually consider it, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have my wallet." I don't know, there was something kind of cute and cool about that, where you get the 4 heroes taking a cab to where they need to go. I don't know, it was just a nice little moment of reality right there. Electra, in the meantime, is trying to do her best to get Danny to open up the door downstairs, but she's a little too, let's just say, obsessed. It really kind of came out that opening scene where Gao was trying to explain to her that we do things quiet. This is how the hand survives. And she's like, I don't care about the hand. I don't care anything. I just care about getting the substance. This is obsession. This type of drive never ends up very well. Certainly doesn't resonate well with the rest of of the hand, who's already upset that the last of the substance was used, and now everything is really, they could all die at this moment if something goes wrong. They don't have any more. But they're close, so, they'll back that play for the moment. And so while she's trying to convince Danny of just how much alike the two of them are, we get really the setup for the two big fights in this episode. We have the three upstairs, and then we have Danny and Electra down at the bottom. And I have to say, kind of overall, I wasn't super excited about these fights, mainly because they were dark. You couldn't really see a whole lot. Now, the one downstairs I get because it's sort of the cave, and you can also kind of, do stunt double-ish things with the darkness and things like that. You can hide that idea. So I get that with Danny and Electra. But upstairs with the big group fight, it was too much. It was too choppy. It was too quickly edited. It was too dark to see anything. I kept having to turn off lights in here and rewind and rewatch. I mean, I didn't know if it was the adjustment, the color settings on my TV. Everything else looks fine. So it was it's disappointing. If it's too dark, if I can't see anything, if it's too choppy and I can't really tell what people are doing, to me, it's a sign of either poor directing, not well enough choreography, or just actors that can't do it. And then especially once, it was a little projecting too, because once especially we have Danny bringing out the Iron Fist, all I'm thinking is she's just going to stand in front of the door, you're going to try and throw a punch, she's going to step out of the way and force you to open it, which is effectively what happens by doing it that way. So I mean, I kind of read that out, and I was like, just Danny gets... That is kind of the childish aspect of Danny, that sort of play with. Colleen makes the statement of this, that he's still just a child looking for his family. He's looking for some sort of redemption, and he has that almost childlike view of good versus evil, and that lets him fall into traps like this. So that kind of bummed me out. It was a little bit of projection. I was a little bummed about the fight, but I am excited to find out what's on the other side of the door. But of course, upstairs we get a little bit of assistance for our heroes. One, Colleen showing up. Luke, you should say thank you when Colleen shows up and saves your life. And she's got a bag full of explosives, which she conveniently got out of the police evidence room, which wasn't locked or guarded or anything. They really need to pay more attention to that if you're just going to have evidence lying around and explosives and all of those things. But of course, she's got the plans ready to drop the building. And then we have at the end Misty showing up with the perfectly thing. The police are on their way. How long do you want me to stall them for? Ah, thank you, Misty. That was awesome. All right, so let's not wait anymore. Let's just jump right in. It's the end of it, the final episode right now. We got to find out what happens. The door's open, and the group needs to bring that building down. Hopefully they can rescue Danny before those explosives go off. Let's find out. Episode 8. All right, Episode 8. The Defenders. Defenders indeed. The building falls or New York does. That's pretty much the whole goal of this episode. And everyone's on board. Even Jessica was on board, which I thought was great. Yeah, it takes Luke sort of a moment, and they do have to carefully consider, again, the realities, the cost of these decisions, something that these street-level fighters have to do. I do love the fact that they are considering these whole things, even though they go, okay, well, terrorism charges, well, gotta stay with the city, whatever. Was cool. I love their little kind of moment before diving into the elevator there of Daredevil acknowledging kind of the appreciation of teams. Someone who has been so standoffish now, again, not necessarily wanting to hug, but certainly to acknowledge what is going on. So that leads them down into the depths where we discover, well, what the big substance is. No, those aren't dinosaurs. Those are dragons. That was the whole discussion that Electra had with Danny there when we were talking about with the molten fist and all. These are other dragons, and it is their bones that is the cause of the substance that allows for the immortality. So it's appropriate, again, when we had the Masters studying into chi, and part of the whole Iron Fist thing is stabbing your hand into the molten heart of the dragon. This is the same type of thing. Within these dragons lies this concentrated substance, and so that is apparently what it is that allows them to survive, or to live forever, to be immortal. Downside, of course, is once they pull this stuff out, it's going to be leaving a big gaping hole, and the rest of the city is going to collapse on top of it. So just sort of an extra push in order to get our heroes motivated to take things out. Beautiful fight sequence when they jump down. I love the misdirect. That was cool. But really that one big circular shot, again, reminiscent of the hallways. Whenever they do these long continual camera shots within combat, I always love it. I think it looks better. I think it's much more visceral. I think it involves the audience a lot more, and it's a lot more exciting to see these without all of these quick edits. We did get that later on, but at least we did get that one kind of cool shot where we get like 2 or 3 shots of each of the heroes as they go and back and forth. We've got Danny taking care of Gao, countering her little chi hit with his iron fist, kaboom, blowing and knocking everyone down. That was all pretty awesome. So ultimately, I think that was a cool setup. The whole little fight sequence, and then of course the big final escape. As they're heading up the elevator, I love the fact that the hand was crawling up after him. 1, very slow elevator. But 2, it just shows their dedication. This is what it is. We can have the fight sort of continue on that escape while Daredevil is attempting to try and bring back Elektra. Yeah, that seemed kind of a lost cause even from the beginning. It was, the battle until the end. But of course, he couldn't just leave her. He said he had lost her once. He wasn't going to do it again. Of course, while all that is happening, we have the whole Claire, Colleen, Bakuto fight going on upstairs. And I really love the pairing up of Colleen and Claire. I mean, we got that in Iron Fist. It was one of the nicer things. But here we're seeing a lot more of connections. They've had a lot of discussions, over the few episodes of, what is it that takes to be a hero, how much Colleen was the foundation of things, even though in some ways really, well, I guess she's the foundation of Iron Fist, and Claire's the connection with everything. And then the whole, there's a type of person that runs into fire. There are people that run away from fire. There's people that run into fire. And that's pretty much who these two are. And Colleen even puts that up and mentions about how many lives that Claire has saved with everything she does. So it's kind of a good way we get these two characters, kind of supporting and building each other up. We're starting to look at a real interesting dynamic going on there before we finish off with Bakuto. Now, in this, of course, we have Misty finally popping up and getting into the fray of things, constantly threatened by her police chief, that it's going to be the end of her career, or it's going to make her career. She doesn't care at this point, willing to jump in, face off with Bakuto, and that ends up allowing eventually for Colleen to finish and take Bakuto out. But we had, of course, the sad but expected move of Misty losing her arm. Very, very important for Misty to lose her arm. I mean, I love Misty. We don't want anything wrong with her. In the comics, we know that she gets a very nice cybernetic arm when she dives in, and that's sort of the future of her character. That's really where I know her from, is after the whole arm bit. So now that she has lost the arm, this opens up the possibilities for her to get a new bionic, whether it's going to be through Stark. Something interesting, maybe, maybe not. We also, of course, have that whole last little statement where how much that Danny owns the hospital. It's all high tech. Perhaps there is something we can do. So Stark's got money, but so does Danny, and he also has connections. So other possibilities that we can have now, Misty Knight, with her awesome new arm. Oh, I can't wait to see that. But of course, our heroes do get out of the hole. I love the save by Jessica grabbing the elevator cable before it goes. She gets to do that last little bit of moment of awesomeness before running out and seeing the building go. So we know Murakami was dead. He fell off and was impaled onto that piece of rebar. But Gal was still walking around, as of course was Maddie and Elektra finally together and having their moment. The end was kind of cute and sad and a little psychotic, pretty much how the rest of their relationship has been. Just a little bit about the whole building implosion there, actually. One, yes, you need to have your timer in order to set off the explosives, fine, but you can always turn off a timer or remove it from the explosive. Not every bomb timer or trigger is wired with some sort of turn it off and it explodes things. So, that was just one little moment. Also, for just those couple of charges, how it blew the whole building all the way up in order to drop it down, that was also a little bit iffy. I mean, I get it's comic, it's easier to wrap up, but that seemed like a lot of stuff to drop it perfectly in its own footprint. Just those couple of explosives around those two columns and that, right? The whole thing. No. And then with the rest, we're sort of mopping everything up. The moment when everybody came into the police station, and we have Luke comes in, and Jessica comes in, and Claire and all them come in, and we've got Foggy and Karen just looking at the door waiting for Matt, and he doesn't come in. Oh, that was a beautiful bit of visual storytelling. I got a little choked up there actually watching it too. And so we're dealing then with all of the fallout and everything else. We've got the connections, we've got Luke and Jessica have their little moment in the bar, which was nice, reconnecting or at least letting each other know, hey, we're out there. And of course, Danny's taking on kind of Matt's leadership. We find out what that whispering message was protect my city. So, yeah, obviously at that point you're not really expecting Matt to have come out, but it gets Danny and to sort of secure things down into New York, which is what Colleen had wanted, her little bit of stability. So we have everybody coming into place, but we also have these interconnections still happening. Especially, I love Foggy. Foggy is just going in. I think he's doing a lot of free legal work. I love how he keeps saying, the law offices of Hogarth and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember it offhand. Are at your legal. Think of us for all of your legal needs. He said that when Luke got out of prison, and he was saying it again to Claire and Luke. I love the idea. Oh, well, they didn't file a police report, so there's no charges, and therefore it magically didn't happen. Kind of a bit of an easy wrap up for all of the worries and concerns that they had, but okay, we'll go with it. But he keeps saying think of us for all your legal needs. It's like, nobody's paying you. I don't know, maybe Danny's paying him. But certainly, I think we're going to have Foggy as the new lawyer to the superheroes. Jessica, nice wrap up for her story. One, I love the coffee reference for Luke when she left. Maybe we'll get coffee sometimes. He's with Claire, Jessica. But, that's okay. But as she goes back and finds Malcolm cleaning up the bullet holes and closes up her door, it's very cool because we get sort of a return of the opening shot for Jessica Jones, where we had the shot of her door and then the guy goes through it. Here, her little story in this ends with the door closing and we get to see Alias investigation. So I thought that was a nice way to wrap things around. Now, we did have that little connection between Trish and Karen early in the episode where they're looking over the past, the actions of the Hand and how extensive that has been. I think we're starting to get sort of that idea of Trish talk moving into more of the investigation mode. Maybe we'll have a little connection in between these two. Get some good potentials I think we've got going. Little seeds of potential movements going on right there. Now, finally, the last shot. Where we find Matt waking up in Catholic hospital, I am guessing, where we don't know, could be New York, could be South America, could be Asia, could be anywhere for all we know. And I have to say, I'm not totally sure how I feel about that ending. I mean, part of it, the way they had set everything up, it was sort of like that mystery. And then if we got Daredevil season 3, I know we're going to get to season 3, but when that comes up, then we could sort of have his return. I thought it would have been interesting to kind of leave it at that empty point. But I also get how they want to let people know that he is here, that there is going to be season 3 and such, so I get the decision to bring him back too. That's what I'm saying, I'm not really sure where I felt. I thought it would have been interesting to end it with him apparently gone and then coming back later on. Or is it perhaps that concern with the whole stakes thing, that if we leave that out and then he just comes back, then it's some sort of crazed resurrection, like they weren't planning it. I don't know where they were stand on it. I'm not sure how I particularly feel about it. But what it does let us know is if he's alive, then Elektra's alive and out there. It also lets us know that Gao is probably still out there. Because again, Murakami got stabbed through the rebar, but Gao is walking around. So my guess is if Matt's out, then of course Elektra's out. And Gao is out, and they may have grabbed some dragon bone, at the time. So they got a little bit of a mortality ahead of them. All right, so that's it. That was awesome. I love that. And I gotta say, I like the 8 episodes. It did get things moving quickly, but like Jessica said, this is all happening within a week. This was in a quick time frame, so I'm okay with it. Also, sometimes the shorter bits, they don't have the extra time to milly around and just do filler moments and we've got to stretch this out. So if they can keep things shorter, if they can keep things tighter, I don't really have a problem with this. I was fine with the way the pace moved. Certainly I would have liked more, but hey, I like more of good stuff. I liked all of the movements. I liked the sort of wrapping up, how everybody sort of at the end accepts who they are in the world. We kind of have everybody sort of blossoming really into the heroes that were sort of built up during their own individual storylines. So I thought this sort of wrapped things up and brought things to the next level as well. Whether or not there'll be a Defenders 2, I don't know. I know at the very least we're going to have another Daredevil season. We got, of course, Punisher coming out later on this year, and there's going to be definitely an Iron Fist season 2. So that's going to be good. As long as Scott Buck doesn't showrun that, it should be fine. And I'm just saying that because of the difference in quality we have with Finn's fights here. Yes, there was more time in order for him to train and get ready at things, but I think also just from the camera work, from the decisions that were made in regards to how they're doing stunt doubles and things, he's definitely done a lot of work, and I hope he continues to do so. The fights look much better with him now. I was really excited. So mostly I did enjoy the fights. I wish they did a little bit more of your big Daredevil single camera non-cut things. They had that little bit at the end of this episode, but I wish they had a little bit more. Again, I'm nitpicking here, but overall I thought it was great. I love the use of color constantly throughout it. I love the visual storytelling they did. I think they maintained all of the individual characters and got them to mesh in what felt like a very organic way. I didn't really feel like things were pushed. I think people pushed back, when Jessica would leave or when Matt would not say anything. I think all of those were well within character, and yet also within character for them to come back around, because ultimately, as much as they don't want to be heroes necessarily, Jessica, I'm looking at you, you are. And they are accepting that. So I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed where they have set up the characters in order for us to go forward. So that's it. That's the wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. We should start telling Netflix or Marvel, yes, we want a Defenders season 2. I want more of this, and I want more crossover within their individual stories. Now that we have those connections, now that we have all of those sub-characters kind of interconnecting, since they're bringing this world together, I want to see more of it. I want to see at least a cameo of some bit where they're in trouble and Jessica is going to need Matt's help, or Matt's going to need Jessica's help, or we got Danny and Luke going. Any of these types of crossovers, I would be happy with all of it. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to feel like that's less organic. So we'll just have to sort of wait and see. So that is it. Thank you so much for joining me through all these. I hope you enjoyed this review. Just go ahead and let me know if you did. You can use the like button. That's always good. You can throw comments down. Let me know what you think, what was good, what wasn't good, what worked for you. What do you want to see next in the show? Let's chat about this, man. We're all big fans. We all love it. All right, so, and of course you can always subscribe, and we'll put up another video you can check out, and all of that stuff. So, thank you so much for joining with me. I am D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.